Welcome back to the Branching Out Podcast. It's me, Justin Rademacher. And in this episode, I want to talk about how AI isn't just for tech companies anymore. I want to talk about how AI can actually help your business, your tree service business, book more jobs, run smoother, and keep more money in your pocket. This isn't going to be like some episode where we're talking about theory. You're going to have 5 specific ways on how you can use AI in your tree service starting today, from handling calls to planning your finances. Plus, I'm also going to break down the different tools that I would recommend, like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, and what I think each one of them are best at. And if you stick with me to the end, you'll know exactly where to start and how to avoid the overwhelm that stops most business owners from ever starting this. So stick with me, and we're going to jump right into the pod. All right, so let's talk about the most immediate moneymaker, which is lead handling. If you've been in business long enough, you know that speed to lead can make or break a sale. I talk to a lot of companies that are somewhat new to marketing when they're working with us, and we're generating them leads, and maybe it's their first time dealing with a large volume of leads. And so what ends up happening is we leave some money on the table because we're not responding to these people appropriately, quick enough, or with enough repetition. There are plenty of AI receptionists out there in the ether right now. We use Go High Level internally. They have a voice agent. Podium has AI messaging that can answer calls instantly, qualify the lead, and even book the job right into your calendar. Now, you only really need this if you have a speed to lead issue, meaning you've got more leads than you can respond to in a time efficient manner. But why is this a big deal? Why should I even consider having some sort of an AI answering service? Well, if a homeowner calls for an emergency tree removal and your voicemail picks up, they're dialing the next customer. More importantly, from my perspective, if you're running Google local service ads, one of the ranking signals to Google is what is your telephone answer rate. By plugging in an AI specialist, you can now get that answer rate to 100%, thereby giving you even more leads from Google local service ads. One of my clients saw a 22 lead boost per month just by adding AI receptionist to after hours calls. And if they missed a call, we can automatically send them a text with AI saying, "Hey, sorry, I missed your call." They can respond back and have a full blown conversation, resulting in a booked appointment on the calendar. So it's not just phone calls. It's not just chat or not just text messages. You can also add chat bots to your website that can help convert that traffic that you're driving to your site from, like Google pay per click or maybe Facebook organic posts, or even Facebook paid social, thereby increasing the efficacy of your ad spend. So, speed to lead, AI dominates. It's phenomenal. You do also want to keep in mind that AI should not replace you or human interaction, but it can help to systematize it. One of my favorite things to use AI for is marketing and content creation. This is where we'll talk about ChatGPT versus Gemini versus Claude and versus Grok, And so this is where I think marketing is where most business owners get stuck. It is, I'm relying on word of mouth. I've only ever done word of mouth. Word of mouth is the best kind of advertising. And then they realize that it's not scalable, it's not predictable, and they want to start getting into ads. Probably the first thing that they try, in my experience, is something that's organic. So let's optimize my Google business profile and get verified on Google, or let's start making Facebook posts. And all those things are great, and all those things are foundational and should be done. However, paid ads in August of 2025 is the way to install a lever into your business that gives you a predictable and reliable outcome on jobs booked. Now, all that said, you kind of need to know what to post on your Google business profile. You need to keep up with your Facebook page, maybe run ads, but sitting down to write that content is eating up your evenings, or it just doesn't get done because it's such an overwhelming task. Like, you'll hear people like Gary Vaynerchuk, and if you don't know who that is, you need to go follow him, especially if you're a business owner and you want to know about organic social media content. He is the GOAT there. But if you're listening to people like Gary Vee and they're saying you got to post every day, 5 times a day on social media, on all the different platforms, that can feel very overwhelming. How in the world am I going to do that? That's where AI can really come into play. is I can very simply go into ChatGPT and tell ChatGPT that I need to create 2 Facebook posts per day for the next 14 days. And ChatGPT will spit out 28 posts for me that are all text based. Now, you're going to want to vary that and include some images and include some videos when possible. But you can very simply, with a bunch of tools that are out there, maybe even the Meta Business Suite, download that CSV that has all of those posts in it with the images and videos linked in, and drop it in one batch file right into your social media planning tool. And you're done. So you would literally spend maybe an hour of your time to draft out 28 posts on social. Going back to what I was talking about with paid ads, it's all about leverage. And that is leverage. When I can take an hour of my time and trade it for 28 posts, that's a trade that I'm willing to make all day, every day. Now, as far as ChatGPT, I'm going to break down the big three right now because Grok is still, in my opinion, still trying to find its footing. But ChatGPT that's like my main AI tool that I use. It is best for creative writing, ad copy, social media posts. You can even like create images in ChatGPT, and it's getting better and better by the day. It's great when you need something to sound human, persuasive, and engaging. Some examples would be have it write some Google business profile post about a storm cleanup job that you did, complete with some before and after descriptions. And you could literally take that prompt that I just gave you, plug it into ChatGPT, and it would give you the Google business profile post word for word. You can copy and paste, you can critique it. That's one of the best things about it is at this stage of the game, I use ChatGPT so frequently that it sort of knows my talking style, it knows my writing style, and it's going to give me something that's going to sound very authentic and on brand for me. You don't want to just take the very first thing it says with all the long dashes, the EM dashes, and just drop that because everybody's going to know it's AI. AI should be like your personal assistant, not a replacement for the human experience, right? Um, so that's ChatGPT. Google Gemini is great for research and pulling live data. You know, if I need to know something about search, I'm gonna go to the horse's mouth, right? So Google owns Gemini. I probably should have called out that a company called OpenAI is who owns ChatGPT. So these are all competitors, right? But Google Gemini, you can use it to analyze your competitors' reviews. You could use it to find local event tie-ins, like what are some things that are going on, BNIs that are in my area that I could attend to get plugged in with some business owners here. And you can even check like search intent. So, hey, Gemini, what are homeowners in Volusia County searching for right now as it relates to tree service? Boom, go, and it'll give you the keywords that you should probably prioritize in your content. So, an example would be before you do go ahead and write a blog post or even a Facebook post or a Google business post, ask Gemini, what are the top 3 related searches in your city this month? And then that will give you a foundational knowledge of what should I really address with my content. Because I can tell you from somebody that does make content, one of the hardest things about making content is what do I talk about, right? like we all have experience in business, we all have experience in our field, but what is going to resonate with people right now in this day and age, in this time frame that I could actually provide some value with, and that's one of the things that I leverage AI for. In fact, the topic of this podcast, I ideated with ChatGPT to figure out what it was that I wanted to talk about today. So that brings us into Claude. Claude is it's the LinkedIn of the AI tools. I think it's really best for long form content and handling big files. It feels to me, I'm trying to describe AI tools as if they're people, but Claude sort of feels to me like the more studied, the less emotional, more data driven, more factual. Um, if you've got like a 50-page safety manual, for example, or a long contract, Claude is going to be the best source of being able to either give you that information or review that information and give you a quick summarization, right? So For Claude, I would prefer to use that for things like your standard operating procedures. You could feed them into it and it will spit out a much better version, a cleaned up version, a polished version, and one that's going to be very, very factual. Now, those are three different tools that you can use. I think it's important to call out that for the most part, they can all do the same thing. And also, for the most part, I use ChatGPT to do all of those things. That's like my go-to. But if I had to give you like an agnostic view of, whichever tool you want to use, go ahead and use it. These are the things that I'm seeing the nuances about what's different between each of them. So my favorite combo right now is Chat GPT for most things, because at this point I've just used it so much that it knows my brand voice. It knows, it feels very familiar to me. It knows a lot about me, who I am, the business that I run, what my clients are into. Some of my clients, it will spit out and tell me, hey, maybe you should do a blog post about this client since they had this sort of a return on your ROI. Like, it knows that much, and that just makes it even more helpful. So it's almost like a personal assistant at this point. So that all falls under the marketing umbrella. These are the things that you can do with AI as it relates to marketing and generating more leads for your business. All right, so next, let's talk about job estimating and proposal automation. Right, I told you I wanted to make sure that you had 5 key things that you could take away from this, and I'm going to give you a lot more examples than that. But at the very core, there are 5 pillars, right? One of them is job estimating and automating your proposal strategy. So slow quotes lose jobs, right? I can't tell you how many times I have had one of my clients reach out and say, hey, this Google lead came in. We told them that we'd be out there next week to give them an estimate. People don't want to wait a week for an estimate, right? So we want to figure out ways that we could leverage AI to get those estimates to our clients faster. There are tools like Jobber that have AI integrations that can pull in scope of work, pricing, and upsells automatically based on the type of job. So if picture this, if you're in the field, you finish an estimate walkthrough, and before you even start your truck, the client has a professional proposal in their inbox. That's how you can close faster versus having to get in the truck, go back, draw it up, send the email, and do the thing. If it's the faster that we can get those things to take place, the more likely we are to actually close the deal. So the fourth thing is going to be on your operations and scheduling. It's not just about sales and marketing. AI can also cut wasted time in your daily operations. This is the thing that's one of the biggest for me, is speeding up our operations internally so that we can react faster. Um, there are tools out there. There's one called Optimo Route, I think is the name of it. But basically, what it can do is you can plug in your crew's workday, and it can leverage AI to plan the most efficient route so that your guys are getting home at a more reasonable hour and you're saving on fuel costs. It will figure out the shortest and fastest distances between each of the jobs that you have going on. Now, I haven't personally used it, but I'm aware of its existence. Google Maps also now has predictive AI scheduling. It knows when certain roads are going to be jammed up, and even helps you plan around that. There's a tool called Zapier. There's also N8N. There's a bunch of things here that you can do. But with automations through Zapier, you can have AI send review requests, invoice reminders, and even, hey, we're on the way text messages without you having to lift a finger. So if you are using a CRM, whether it's Go High Level, Lead Connector, Jobber, House Call Pro, you can connect that with a different tool that will send an automated text message to that individual saying, "Hey, we just finished the job at your house. I hope that you're happy. If you are, we'd love if you leave us a 5-star Google review." The companies that have the most reviews, if you look on Google and you see your competitors that have way more reviews than you do, I can guarantee you that they're either incentivizing their staff to get those reviews or they're automated. So let's go with the automation. Hey, quick break here. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, this all sounds great, but I don't know how to exactly to make AI work in my tree service business, or I want help growing my tree service at the next level, then I want to offer you a one-on-one strategy session where we can get on a Zoom call. We can take a look at your current lead flow in your marketing, where AI can save you the most time, basically a step-by-step action plan to get you the next results. And I'll let you know if we would be a good fit to work with you at Arborist Marketing Pros. There's no high pressure pitch. I just really want to help. It's about mapping out a plan that makes sense for your business and to get you to the next level. If you want to book a session, just send me a message that says strategy and I'll send you a link to my calendar. Back to the pod. Now, the fifth thing is financial planning and spreadsheet formulas. So I am a Google Sheets nerd. Like I love Google Sheets way too much, actually. One thing that a lot of people aren't thinking about or talking about is financial planning with AI. Most tree service owners, in our experience, track numbers in their head, maybe QuickBooks, but they're not forecasting, meaning they're not looking at what next month numbers should look like. What are the goals? They're sort of reactionary, looking at how did we do this week? Is that good or bad? Right. And so that's dangerous. Here's how AI can help you. In Google Sheets or Excel, if you're old school, you can now use AI through ChatGPT or Gemini to build custom formulas for you. So back when I was getting my feet wet with Google Sheets and when I was figuring out the lay of the land and writing formulas and referencing tables and doing all those things, I had to go into like Google and search and read and go to YouTube and watch a tutorial on how to do the thing that I was trying to do, the VLOOKUP or the pivot table or whatever. Where now I can just go, and I do this today, I can just go over to ChatGPT and say, I'm trying to write a formula that does X, Y, and Z. Give me the formula. And it literally will spit out the Excel or the Google Sheets formula for me. I can copy and paste it and it works 10 out of 10 times. It's phenomenal. So, an example, if you wanted to know your profit margin, for example, because we hear a lot of these business terms, right, as business owners, but we also are afraid to say, I don't know how to calculate my margin, so I think they're 50%. But you can actually write a formula that will tell you on each job what was your revenue minus your expenses divided by revenue. And you could take a spreadsheet row and plug that in there, and it will tell you your profit margin on each job. If you want to know your break even point for the month, like what is your monthly nut, AI can take your fixed costs, divide it by your gross margin percentage, and give you the exact dollar amount that you need to hit. So, if we're talking about growth goals and we're talking about financial planning and strategic revenue increasements, then we can actually have targets that we want to hit based on what we want to happen in our business. If we want to purchase a crane, we know that we need to have either X amount of dollars per month to go towards the payment, or we need to have this much of an expense towards it. I can go ahead and bake that into my financial planning, right, using ChatGPT, and it will tell me how much money I need to make to be able to afford that item. You could also do seasonal forecasting. So if you give AI your last 12, 24 months worth of data on a revenue percentage, it will figure out, okay, well, we're approaching November, October. We typically see a 20% slowdown. You still have goals to hit that are 20% year over year. This is what your revenue number should be, accounting for seasonality. That would be extremely hard to do. You can do it, but that would be much harder to do manually. When we have tools like AI, where I don't need to be in the weeds and the nuance of writing the formulas and figuring out the math, I can communicate, right, with this AI model that will give me the actionable data. And that's the power of leveraging AI and why it's not just for, the tech startups that are trying to make pictures and do all the cool things that we can do with AI. It also helps you with your service profitability. So it can analyze your jobs and tell you which jobs give you the most profit per crew hour, so you know where to focus your marketing. For example, if you're a tree service and you want to focus on removals, then you probably shouldn't be advertising for stump grinding. You don't want to be paying for those keywords, or even like a single palm tree trimming if you're in Florida. You don't want to do that, right? We want good pruning jobs. We want good removals, and that should be affected in your marketing and your ad copy. And if AI knows that, then when it's writing content on your behalf, it's going to actually include those keywords more frequently. So, my pro tip here, I know we're covering a lot of ground in a short amount of time. My pro tip here is leave this podcast and do one thing, which is, if you don't already have ChatGPT installed or Claude or whichever, if you don't like OpenAI for whatever reason, I get it, download one. Most of them have mobile apps. You can just go ahead and download the mobile app right to your phone and start using it in place of Google. Right? When you would think to yourself, "Oh, I need to know how to, change the oil on this motorcycle," don't go to Google. Go to ChatGPT and ask it. You'll start to train yourself. that this can be a much more effective way of getting the answers that I need instead of having to search through multiple articles. I'm going to get one response that's going to be vetted and it's going to be realistic. But then you'll also start to get a sense of what are the other things that I can do with this AI tool. So download the app and pick one area in your business, whether it's the leads, quoting, scheduling, financial planning, and start there. Test one AI tool for 30 days, track the results, and if it works, keep it. If it doesn't, swap it. The key is making AI part of your daily processes. It's not something that you can just buy and say that I now do AI. You have to actually use it, right? And it's going to be it's going to be a change for most of us. So I hope that this was helpful. I wanted to, at the very beginning, I talked about like I want to make sure that you left with 5 things. Uh, if you want a shortcut to this whole process and have all the tools, prompts, and formulas that I mentioned in this podcast, feel free to grab my AI starter kit for tree service businesses. It's free. Just comment on this video, comment on this podcast, AI, and I'll send you the link to download it. And it's like actually free. Like I don't need any of your information. It's just actually free. In this kit, this is the kit that we use to help clients save hours a week and boost profitability. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Now get to work and integrate AI in your business. Chat soon.